It worked for the 1/10, so why not do it for the 1/18? What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with the new release from Axial. This is the four-wheel steer version of the UTB18. Now, UTB stands for Ultimate Trail Buggy. 18 is supposed to indicate the scale. However, calling this an 18th scale or comparing it to other 1/18th scales on the market will leave you scratching your head. It's quite a bit larger than the other 18th scales that you see around on the market. So I think it's better to just kind of understand the size of this first before you get hung up on the scale. The wheelbase of this is right at 9 inches. So a standard 1/10 scale car is usually closer to 12.5 inches or so, and a 1/18 scale might be closer to that like 7-inch range. So it falls much closer to in the middle of that range. Beyond just the number of the scale, the other hard part is just finding something that kind of directly competes with this type of platform. It's a caged buggy made for performance. It's got a very flexy suspension, and now you'll find it with four-wheel steer. The UTB10, the full scale or the 10th scale Capra, however you want to refer to it, it did this same process. It initially released as a front steer only, and then later came out as a four-wheel steer. And we're seeing that treatment here. The two-wheel steer version of the Capra was actually even discontinued and only carrying the four-wheel steer version because probably the popularity was just that much higher. Now, this is very similar in some ways, but also much different in others as far as how a user is going to interact with it. But we'll get into all of those details and kind of show you a little bit about what's going on. But let's start with the outward appearance and then kind of work our way through that. Now, they changed the livery up on this new release. Now you'll have a Mickey Thompson version as well as a King Shocks. This is the Mickey Thompson, giving you these yellow, white, black, and gray panels, which are grabbing at that. And Mickey Thompson panels are also followed with Mickey Thompson tires. These are 3.55-inch tall Mickey Thompson. I think these are the Baja Pro X. Yes, that is correct. So a super aggressive full-size tire now found on here. Now in the center of those tires, you will also find new wheels. These are Proline branded wheels that go along with the Proline branded tires, probably worth noting there. But these beadlocks are 155 beadlock, and they're a true beadlock with 6 holes on the back side that does the clamping to it. So you get that ability to change it out. If you found some other tires in this size that you thought would be a better fit, you could easily do that with just changing out some screws rather than having to unglue and re-glue or just replacing the wheels entirely. So that's a nice upgrade as far as that goes. Now with four-wheel steer, that of course requires a whole nother axle that goes in the rear. Rather than a locked out portal axle, as this does have portals, it now has just a copy of that front centered portal axle in the rear with another full-size 1/10 scale steering servo back there. I think that's worth noting that it doesn't require the use of mini servos or anything like that to get, upgraded or replaced or anything like that. And along with that, the strength of a 1/10 scale servo in a car that's much lighter and smaller likely means that you're not going to really need to upgrade the same as you would in possibly a 1/10 scale car. Spectrum servos, so they're going to be, right around that 200 inches of power, front and rear, on a car this small. Pretty decent. Inside for electronics, we don't have a 2-in-1. We've got a Spectrum ESC and an SR515 5-channel dual protocol Spectrum receiver. It's excellent to see that Spectrum is going back to that style. Now, for quite some time now, they've kind of got away from it, giving you receivers that you couldn't bind to your nicer radios or things like that, or go into the 2-in-1 route where it was all built in to the ESC. So now you have that SR515 receiver. Now, this does come with the SLT3 3-channel radio. The dual protocol part does mean that you can use it on this SLT protocol or the better higher end Spectrum protocol. So you can bind that receiver to some of those nicer radios. Verizon used to do that in everything, and it was a huge cost savings if you wanted to upgrade to a different radio without having to change that out, or take that receiver out of there and put it in different cars and save yourself, $70 some. So you know, the little things like that are worth noting, especially if you're already in some sort of radio ecosystem with one of the Spektrum products. Now in the box for this, you get everything that you need, just like absolutely everything. The batteries for the transmitter are included, the actual battery for the vehicle is included, the charger for the battery for the vehicle is included as well. The battery that's included is a hard case LiPo, and it's got the Spektrum Smart Tech in it. Now it comes installed in the vehicle out of the box. So if you're looking around and don't see it immediately, that's where it's at. This is a 650 milliamp 2S hard case LiPo, and it does have the Spektrum IC connector on there, which is their intelligent connector. So it doesn't have a separate balance tap or anything like that. You'll just plug this into this little USB-C powered charger, and one plug and it'll charge until it's full, and then that's it. The smart tech in these batteries is nice to have. They'll put themselves to a storage charge so that they keep themselves healthy. You don't have to worry so much about the, you know, the concerns of LiPo battery safety. Not bad. And 650 milliamp with the 380 motor that this uses gives you pretty decent runtime. This is the second time I think I've charged at this point. I've only been running this indoors so far, so I haven't got it out on the rocks, but just driving it inside with the maneuverability added by the four-wheel steer makes it pretty fun to crawl around on, you know, couches and boxes and cat trees and whatever you may have around your house, inside or out. With the battery installed, the hood just clicks down. It's got a little like Lego man hand looking thing here on the front of the hood, and it clips over one of these bars. So all you do is press down until you hear the click, and if you want to open it, you just kind of have to use a little bit of pressure to get it to pop up. Now with the battery installed and plugged in, there's a switch here on the passenger rear side. When you click that, you will definitely know it's on because the lights are very bright. So you have the light bar on top, you have rock lights in the fender, and then of course you've got the front facing headlights as well. Now the rock lights don't tilt down as far as I would hope or want for rock lights, but it's not that big of a deal, you know, especially for something at this scale. It's just like, if that's what your aim is, I would have liked to see them aimed closer to the rocks that it's driving at. A very, very small gripe, although it is a very small car. When the 1/10 scale was converted from two-wheel steer to four-wheel steer, they redid the cage on the back because of the servo clearance that was needed for the four-wheel steer version. And they didn't do that for this one, and it does kind of show. The rear servo does collide with the chassis quite a bit, well before the chassis is at full bump. But that's also not a huge issue because that's not a common, you know, this isn't a race buggy where you're jumping it and, you know, hitting that full compression in the suspension. It's made to articulate, and it articulates just fine. It gets full articulation with no interference of the servo with the chassis. It just can't go straight down in the rear. In the front, it can go all the way down to the bump stops without any problem. The radio, like I said, is a 3-channel. In the normal steering mode, it's just the front tires. Then you've got the rocker switch down here. If you click it once down, then you'll get the crab steer mode, where both tires turn in the same direction. So that'll kind of just crab it over one way or another as it's driving forward. Then if you go up again one, then you're back to the center with front only. If you go up again, that's when you get the counter steer method. Now that's what most people think of when they're thinking of four-wheel steer. That's the most maneuverable. That'll let this thing do the tightest steering radius, things like that. On the four-wheel steer 1/10 scale Capra, they had the radio set up differently, where it was independently controlled with that toggle for the rear steer. And that is my preference. But I think that that was probably the best situation for the 1/10 scale. For this being a smaller scale at a lower price point, they're trying to go for maybe a less experienced crowd. And for that reason, I think that the choice they made with this radio programming, probably the best choice for it. Now, this isn't an inexpensive car. The previous two-wheel steer version was $249, at least currently. This one's coming out a little bit more expensive at $279. So you do see that bump of 30 bucks. Now, a rear servo, not a ton of money, but it definitely counts. The addition of a 5-channel receiver is absolute value added. And then of course you've got the complexity of the rear steering components in that rear axle that are more involved than a standard drag axle or, you know, non-steering type axle. So the extra $30 is worth the extra cost, especially if you consider that now you're getting bead locks, you know, Proline tires and bead locks themselves. Likely the tires and wheels are manufactured at the same place as the rest of the vehicle. This is manufactured in China. So a lot of Proline tires and wheels are made in the United States. I would not expect that to be the case with these. So they're just using the Proline name and hopefully some of that Proline rubber tech. So the steering setup, the power that these, you know, full-size servos give this smaller platform, I'm more than happy with. I think that that is, well, more than this car really needs, but I like that that is the case. The motor itself, 380. For this size car, it's doable. The only thing I have to say about the motor is it's a little fast. It doesn't have great low speed in this vehicle. So here's as slow as I can get this to go. You can get it right there at that creep, but it does not have a super slow crawl mode. I would like to have that personally. I wish that it was, you know, it goes quite a bit faster if you go all the way. That's pretty fast for a car this size. Now, if you're planning on giving this to a kid and you want them to be as entertained as possible, having some speed is probably a good idea. If there was any negatives about the, you know, stats and features of this that I would say, it would be the price point. $279 is awfully close to Axial's newest release of the 1/10 scale base camp at $319. A little bit more money, and now you've got a 1/10 scale car that, you know, that's a whole different world. So I do wish that this vehicle could be a little bit less expensive. The parts and components on it are built well, but they're not quite 10th scale. They, you know, it does, I don't know what scale you call this thing exactly. 14th scale, 12th scale, I don't know. But it doesn't have the same size and durability of components as a 1/10 scale, but you're almost there for the price. I think Axial did make some good choices with what they decided to change and upgrade for this new vehicle, with the added costs that were obviously going to have to go with it, but trying to give you that extra value. Now we're at the time of year right now where gift giving is going to be at the top of many people's mind. And I would say that this is a great candidate for that, being that it includes everything, battery, charger, all of that. And that wasn't factored into the prices of the 1/10 scales that I was talking about. This is a good all-in-one package. It's larger than the 1/24 scales, which, while they are fun and they can work really well in tight indoor spaces, they can also have some durability issues, being how small that they are and how much, you know, upgrade may be needed to really make those things long-term durable. These vehicles, I feel, are much better on that durability side. I think the four-wheel steer is something that may help engage people just because it's, you know, it's extra, it does more things, it turns super tight. All of that just helps to enhance that a little bit more. So, and I think I might be the perfect fit for that as well. I think this might make a great first RC for my nephew. Just great size overall, not too small. I think that that's going to be the perfect fate for this and give me the status of cool uncle. So I think that that's what I'm going to try. Head back for the holidays, have some fun with my nephew with what I think will make his perfect first RC car. So I think my next follow-up with the new UTB18 four-wheel steer will be during the holiday season, when I get to spend some time with him, see if I can let him get the hang of controlling this new four-wheel steer. Let me know what you guys think about the new four-wheel steer UTB18 in the comments below. Is it for you? Is it a possible gift idea? Is it something that you may think is a good donor for a custom platform? I know that the two-wheel steer version had a number of popular uses for that in the past. The four-wheel steer may help or hurt that at times. So I'll be interested to hear how you guys feel about that and where you think that that price falls in the market. Put your comments down below. I think there could be some interesting opinions on this one as far as how it fits in the market. If you've got ideas for a custom project with the four-wheel steer especially, and where you think it might be best suited. Do you like the new Mickey Thompson colors, or do you like the, the green and orange ones that they had before? I think I like the new liveries. The Mickey Thompson one even grew on me quickly. Yellow is not normally my color. If you'd like to see more from my channel, you can hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to see even more, consider joining the channel membership. You get to see videos early. There's member-only videos as well, and it helps support the channel a little bit extra, and I'll put a link below for more information on that. But it's gonna do it for my first look at the UTB18 four-wheel steer for tonight. As always, thanks for watching. Hit the like button on your way out. Thanks again. See you on the next one.